Okay, so today I want to read some scripture about such one of those instances where it must seem to the enemy just unfair that God communicates to his people by his Spirit to reveal the tactics and plans of the enemy. Paul says in the New Testament, he says, I would not have you ignorant, brethren, of the schemes of the enemy. And so all throughout the Bible, we can see where God would reveal to his people. He did it with Joseph, the husband of Mary, when he woke him up in a dream to tell him to tell him the plans of Herod, that Herod was coming after the baby, that Herod was going to kill him, so go home a different way, go to Egypt. And so God has always communicated and communicated with his people to reveal the schemes of the enemy. So let's go to 2 Kings chapter 6. And so we'll go to verse 8. When the king of Syria was warring against Israel, after counseling with his servants, he said, in such and such place shall be my camp. Then the man of God sent to the king of Israel, saying, beware that you pass not such a place, for the Syrians are coming down there. Then the king of Israel sent to the place of which Elisha told and warned him, and thus he protected and saved himself there repeatedly. Therefore the mind of the king of Syria was greatly troubled by this thing. He called his servants and said, will you show me who of us is for the king of Israel? One of his servants said, none, my lord, O king, but Elisha the prophet, who is in Israel, tells the king of Israel the words that you speak in your bedchamber. He said, go and see where he is, that I may send and seize him. And it was told him that he is in Dothan. So the Syrian king sent their horses, chariots, and a great army. They came by night, surrounded the city. When the servant of the man of God rose early and went out, behold, an army with horses and chariots was around the city. And Elisha's servant said to him, alas, master, what shall we do? And Elisha answered, fear not, for those with us are more than those with them. Then Elisha prayed, Lord, I pray you open his eyes that he may see. And the Lord opened the young man's eyes, and he saw. And behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire round about Elisha. And when the Syrians came down to him, Elisha prayed to the Lord, smite these people with blindness, I pray you. And God smote them with blindness, as Elijah asked. Elisha said to the Syrians, this is not the way or the city. Follow me, and I will bring you to the man whom you seek. And he led them to Samaria. And when they had come into Samaria, Elisha asked the Lord to open his eyes again, to open the eyes of these men, and they may see. And the Lord opened their eyes, and they saw, behold, they were in the midst of Samaria. And when the king of Israel saw them, he said to Elisha, my father, shall I slay them? Shall I slay them? Elisha answered, you shall not slay them. Would you slay those you had taken captive with your sword and bow? Set bread and water before them, that they may eat and return to his master. So anyway, such gracious and mercy there over those troops. But what I really want you to hear and what I want you to see in this account is that the Lord spoke, because in the Old Testament he spoke through the prophet. The prophet was the mouthpiece for the Lord, because of course in the Old Testament was before Jesus, and the Spirit of God did not reside with man. There was still a sin issue, and so by God's law and order, the prophet was the mouthpiece for God. And so every time the king of Syria would plan or go to attack Israel, Elisha would tell the king of Israel what their plan was. And so the king called his men. He said, he was greatly troubled by this. He called his servants and says, who of you is for the king of Israel? Who is betraying me? And one of them said, none, but it's Elisha the prophet who is in Israel. He tells the king of Israel the words that you speak in your bedchamber. See, God knows, he knew, and he will know the plans and the tactics of the enemy. And if we have ears to hear, He will lead us, guide us, educate us, advise us with what He has seen so that we can be successful in the plans and design that He has for us. Isn't that good news? I will see y'all next week. Bye.